My name is Braxton Winston, and I have the pleasure and honor of being the Democratic nominee for North Carolina Commissioner of Labor. And, I'm probably not your traditional candidate for Commissioner of Labor. A little bit about myself. I know a lot of you may know me already, but for you that don't, I was born in Camp Lejeune to a guy who retired from the Marine Corps, who then retired from the United States Air Force. And at 64 years old, he's still riding around on a fire truck, pulling people out of fires. My mother is a retired high school math teacher. And when I graduated from Davidson College, I started a career as a union stagehand. And for the past 20 years, I've been working in Charlotte backstage of things like rock and roll concerts, Broadway shows. I've been a camera operator for the Charlotte Hornets for 20 seasons, and I work on film and television production sets. So, all that to say, my background and lived experience, I certainly know the challenges that working families all across North Carolina face day to day. I would be the first union member to be the labor commissioner in North Carolina, and I'm a guy who clocks in and clocks out. And look, I think it's high time that we had a worker being the lead advocate for workers all across our state. And that experience combined with being the former mayor pro tem on the Charlotte City Council, where I served 3 terms, I've certainly come to understand and believe that our state can and should be the #1 state for both businesses and workers. Those two ideas shouldn't be seen as mutually exclusive because they're not mutually exclusive. Our employers are going to set up and want to set up in places where the workforce is strong, where the workforce is diverse, where the workforce is durable. And we as workers, we want our employers to do well. All we want is our fair share. Right? We want to know that we're coming home with a fair day's wage after a fair day's work. We want to know that we are working in healthy and safe environments. We want the ability to take a break and protect ourselves from the hot sun if we're working outside, or escape from heat if we're working in high heat conditions indoors. But I think that's going to take strong leadership at the Department of Labor to help make that happen. The foundation, but we have to realize that the foundation of this nation's economy was built on stolen labor. While it's dastardly in its own right, one of the most maniacal and long-standing effects of American slavery is that the incorrect perception that poor and working white people are separated from the throes of this stolen labor over time. Today's American economy continues to rely on the use of unpaid or underpaid labor, whether that work gets done in the U.S. or on foreign soil. All North Carolina workers suffer from the same system that aims to grow the pockets of small population of business owners in our communities while ensuring that most of our workforce is indentured to a life of living on the edge of financial ruin, despite people's willingness to be honest, hard workers. This is a rigged system, and it's supported by middlemen who will do the bidding of the ownership class by selling out working people under the guise of helping them with the goal of getting just a smell or taste or feel of what ownership experiences. These middlemen push the false narrative that working white people and their livelihoods are threatened not by the owner's thirst to survive off stolen labor, but they are being put in danger by Black people, gays, immigrants, or the scary invisible hand of the government. My opponent is one of these middlemen. His platform is to sell you and other workers out. Like I said, I'm a worker who clocks in and clocks out with working people every day. The guy who I'm going against is a 38-year-old lawyer who has never been elected to public office a day in his life. He's an attorney that makes his practice defending construction companies who are under investigation by the Department of Labor or have been cited or being sued for wrongdoing by the Department of Labor. You know, he wants to sell out every North Carolina worker who clocks in and clocks out every day, but can barely afford to stay in the neighborhoods that we have called home for as long as we can remember. He believes your tax dollars should provide corporate welfare for billionaires while giving them free rein to poison our lands and waters, as long as they can maximize their returns to their shareholders. My opponent doesn't want you to understand that whether it's urban or rural, in the mountains or the coast, our North Carolina communities are more alike than we are different. He doesn't want you to know that so many of our workers are on the edge because they lack access to affordable childcare, affordable housing, or reliable transportation methods, or live in food deserts. He doesn't want you to know that while all of our communities are lucky to have empathetic and thriving business owners, we also have the scourge of exploitative business people who make it hard for others to compete, especially in small businesses. And we know that in our governments, in our local governments, there are too many people like my opponent elected who don't put the issues that you guys are facing at the top of mind. My opponent also doesn't want you to know that I have a plan, that there's a better way for workers, that our elected leaders can get to work all across the state to build coalitions to improve the conditions of all of our workers, while at the same time strengthening our businesses, increasing competition, and fortifying our economy. My opponent doesn't want you to know this because my opponent doesn't have any tangible ideas other than saying, make elevators great again. But I am here to tell you that there is a better way. If we take care of North Carolina workers, then North Carolina can work for all of us. But that's why I am running to be North Carolina's next Commissioner of Labor. No family should be at or near poverty despite working one or more full-time jobs. All work is dignified and all workers should live in dignity. Businesses should be prosperous. And it is high time, again, that we have an actual worker leading the department that is supposed to be the chief advocate for workers all across this great state. Someone who clocks in and clocks out and understands the sacrifices. The Department of Labor needs a leader who is going to take the statutory responsibility of the department seriously and understands that there is work to be done with other government agencies on the state and local level, as well as with the private sector and service providing organizations and labor unions to take care of the whole worker. We deserve a candidate that understands work doesn't work without access to affordable childcare. That work doesn't work if you live in the digital divide. That work doesn't work if you don't have access to affordable housing or good food. That work doesn't work if small businesses have to compete against bad actors who are cheating the system. I am your candidate who knows and believes this, and I need you to go out far and wide to tell everyone you come in contact with, vote for someone who will do the work to make this the #1 state for businesses and workers. I need you to go out there and tell them to vote for Braxton on November 5th. Thank you all very much, and thank you for having me.